All right, YouTubers, got the tomato Ford ready. Uh, Looks like a commercial for Red Gold tomatoes or something, but it's painted. It turned out too bad. You can see my reflection in it there, and I got a few bugs. There's one. Best thing you can do with them is leave them alone. Gets completely dry. Wet sand and buff them out if you want to. Um, didn't turn out too bad. I mean, it's painted outdoors, and part of what makes paint smooth out, get a really glossy finish, is the time in which between you putting the paint on and to the point where it cures, where it no longer is flowing. The slower that process, the smoother your paint surface will be. It's almost impossible to spray paint without creating some kind of orange peel. Even with a HVLP gun like this was sprayed with, it's going to have some orange peel. But if you use a medium or slow reducer and hardener, it'll flow out a lot better and you'll have less orange peel. However, the faster it dries, the less chance you have of any kind of sags, or the less bugs will get in it, or the less dirt will get in it and penetrate it. So it's kind of a catch-22. But when I'm painting outdoors, I soup that thing up. I'll even put some accelerator in it, but I get it dry just as fast as I can. And if it's not glossy enough to suit me, which there's some places on there that are dry that need to be wet sand and buffed. But you know, I plan on keeping that truck, so anytime I'm not doing anything and the weather's pleasant, I can wet sand and buff a section of it. You know, if it takes me a few months, I don't care. And if I never get to it, I don't care. The truck is presentable. It's somewhat rust proofed. You know, I set back the corrosion clock several years, and you know, it looks all right. And it's one color, so I call that a win. And that was painted, no kidding, with Rust-Oleum. 2 parts Rust-Oleum, a half a part clear, and a half a part would be fast reducer. And that's what the red was, and then I went over it with 2 coats of Euro clear. So pretty good film thickness, and I have used this on many trailers, dump trucks, wreckers, and it's just a very durable finish, and it's cheap. You know, a couple coats of clear is, you know, debatably not cheap, but you mix a little bit of clear and hardener in with that Rust-Oleum, and it makes a decent paint. And it doesn't, you know, like a red straight out of the can Rust-Oleum in a year or two in the weather will start turning pink looking. You know, it just starts fading, which if you add the clear and use the high solids clear and harden it, activate it, it probably extends the life of the paint 5 times, and it makes it a lot tougher surface. So just a tip there. I mean, you do what you want. It, you know, basically doubles the price of the paint, but it's 10 times better paint when you put it on there. So you know, you can use that tip or not. But the wrecker's officially done. As far as the build, all I have to do is put the tow mirrors back on it and the rubber weather stripping that I've took off. The F-250 Super Duty emblems that were on this fender right here will not be put back on. They have 3 locating holes in them from the factory, which I welded shut and filled. And as you see, it turned out pretty nice. You can't tell it. You can't really see any of the body work. Even on the fender, or the door over here, we'll go over and look. You know, it had a pretty good sized dent in this driver's side rear door. And it's just a slick and straight. You cannot see it. There's not a whiffle, not a wave, nothing in that door. So, and it'll stay that way. I put that filler in there about a month ago, and I put some primer on it about a month ago. So that will that'll stay. The longer you can leave your filler and your primer on there before you do your final blocking, the more likely it is not to move around on you. And again, there's filler and weld in that right there. That's where the emblem was. And it looks pretty straight. You know, I'm not going to sit here and brag on the truck because it could be perfect. A little work and it could be better. It's closer to perfect. But, you know, I've got brand new vehicles that weren't perfect. And if you ever worked at a dealership, you'll know that a lot of them that comes through there are not perfect. But it's nice. And it'll stay nice for a long time if you do any kind of care at all to this thing. So I call that a wrecker done. Needs tires. Got the brake pads they need to put on. And I think we should be able to run that old truck for, you know, I don't know, a year or two without having to do any major work to it. Transmission's strong. The engine's pretty, I'm going to say the engine's healthy. It's not strong, but it seems to be healthy. Doesn't use oil or whatever. And it carries a load well. Got to get the front tires off of it and change the front gear ratio, which I will include that. It's got a 410 in the back and a 373 in the front. And I'm going to, before winter, I'll probably put a 410 in the front of it. But even at that, you can compensate that with tire size. If you do the math, I've done it before. I had a Chevrolet that I built. I had an F450 Super Duty rear end with a 355 gear in the back and a 342 gear in the front. And I forget what tire combination we used, but you could run it in four-wheel drive on the road. Didn't affect it whatsoever. You know, these four-wheel drive tractors you see, you know, they're different size tires on them, and I promise you a different gear ratio in the differentials to make it work. So it's just a matter of mathematics to get your actual final drive with miles per revelation on your tires compared to your ring and pinion gear ratio. It's kind of complicated math, but it's not anything anyone can't figure out if you set your mind to it. But because I might want to sell the truck one day, or I just want the truck to be right, I will locate a 410 gear for the Super Duty. They're not that hard to find. And when I do the ball joints and whatever else I'm going to do the front of it, I'll go ahead and take the ring and pinion out of it and put a 410 gear in it. But turned out pretty good. I got to thank my wife and my little girls for helping me on this truck. My wife and my youngest daughter did most of the masking on this truck today, and they did a damn good job. You know, there was a time when I was a supervisor at a van customization factory. We took brand new Dodge vans and did multicolor paint jobs, put raised roofs in them. It was a whole conversion factory, and I was a supervisor there, and I never seen anyone do a much better job masking than what my wife and my little girl did today. So kudos to them. And the old truck will, you know, we'll get some 2000 grit sponges and get the bugs out of it and run the crap out of it. So if you haven't subscribed, please do that. You know, all 18 of you that have, I really appreciate you, and I hope you learned or enjoyed this. I like fooling with this junk. I took a truck there, it's probably worth $3,500. Now it's probably worth $85, $95. But I probably put $3,000 in it getting it here. So, you know, between the weather and other things in life that happened, it took a little longer than I would liked, but I'm going to call this truck pretty well done. Like I said, I've been using it. It's hauled several vehicles in here. And anybody that's helped me on it, or a buddy might help me go get the rear end, and you know, people will help me locate this, that, or the other thing for it. I appreciate you. So everybody have a good weekend, and thanks for watching.